Well, hello everyone, Philosopher Stoner 666 here. So, this is probably a junk video, and I don't know, I might title it something like The End or something. I don't know. I've been having a lot of problems lately, personal life crap going on. So I guess I'll talk about that, and I'm kind of going to jump around from various topics. I was going to make a bunch of videos, but I got like 50 minutes to record here, so I'm going to do like a bunch of different things and just sort of blabber on. And maybe it'll be coherent, maybe it won't, I don't know. I'm not scripting these things, I just sort of do them off the cuff. But yeah, very frustrated. I use this sort of like my psychiatrist chair, because right now I can't go talk to my psychiatrist that I've been seeing. I see them next week. And yeah, very difficult. So I've been having this problem. My dad continually brings up the fact that I'm making quote unquote face crimes. Now, he doesn't use that word, that's my terminology, but he just always comments about the look on my face, that I look miserable or pissed off. This was yesterday. He made a comment like, he laughed, and I was like, what's so funny? And he's like, oh, the look on your face. And he's done this a bunch of times, and we've had arguments about it before, and he just keeps bringing it up and bringing it up and bringing it up. And he's kind of a bully and kind of an asshole, you know, a lot of times. And, you know, I was inappropriate, and I told him to fuck off. I'm like, fuck off with the face comments, you know, all the time, incessant. And we had a major argument. It was really bad. But we've had a lot worse, though. We've had physical fights. My dad's attacked me. You know, he's given me a black eye. I've ripped his shirt off. I've practically thrown him down the stairs. We've had a lot of bad fights over the years. And, you know, my mother died. And, you know, it wasn't easy on him either. So, anyway, this fight happens about this stupid bullshit. We haven't had a fight in a while. And so, whatever. So I go to leave. And I go to see this woman that I've been, well, at least I thought I was dating her. Hanging out with her for a bit. She was just a friend, really, from work. And we hung out a few times. And she made, you know, advances to me one time. We had a few, but we had been drinking, though. And so she, you know, was flirting with me. She was touching me, caressing me, getting on top of me, showing me her boobies, all that kind of crap. And I didn't entirely reciprocate. I think I tried to kiss her, and then she sort of pulled away, and we sort of stopped. And then her roommate walked in like a few minutes later, and we sort of, that was sort of the end of it. And she sort of, you know, backed away from it. Had sort of the buyer's remorse. You know, maybe I fucked up, I don't know. And she wants to be just friends now. And so anyway, so I went to see her, and I was telling her, like, you know, I didn't go into detail. I was like, I just had an argument with my dad. And then she proposed to me, you know, being a roommate. You know, because she's looking for a new roommate. And, you know, like, I want to date, right? But I don't want to, you know, I don't necessarily need a live-in relationship. I don't want any of that crap. But she's not really interested. It's not a romantic thing. It's just like, yeah, just a roommate. And I sort of, you know, we talked and we went outside. I made a kind of a faux pas where I sort of mentioned it in the house, in her apartment. And her roommate was supposedly listening, although I think he was asleep, really. But she was upset because I supposedly embarrassed her. Anyway, so we walk out and we're talking, and she starts going on about stuff, and she tells me to lower my voice and this and that. So I just sort of like was like, well, you know, I'm not a light switch, and I have feelings too, and if you want to be just friends, well, okay. And then she sort of said off the tip of her tongue, well, maybe it's better if we just go back to being before. like when we were coworkers, and just not speak to each other. And I was like, well, I guess I'm just going to go get the bus then. And yeah, you know, it's sort of like you go on a date with someone, you go on maybe 1 or 2 dates, and then they decide, yeah, I don't want to date you anymore. But, you know, women do this. Yeah, I'm sure guys do it too, but, you know, escalate things and then regret, and then, oh, I just want to be friends. It's a classic female line. Oh, I just want to be friends. Well, you weren't interested in being friends like a couple days ago, lady. You know, this is, like I said, a very small thing. It really doesn't matter, you know. But it's just, I keep getting close to people, and it's sort of, the real problem is the overarching theme here is I'm more and more and more bothered by the transient nature of existence. Just the fact that everything is temporary, and it seems to, no matter what you do, doesn't change that fact that all of this is fairly pointless and not going anywhere. Like, it's just not going anywhere. I have, through psychiatry, discovered, and I've done tests that have proven this, I have an Asperger's thing, so it's high functioning, but it's basically, I was sort of on the cusp of being born with autism. So I have these sort of social limitations. I don't connect with very good people. I feel used all the time. You know, people just fucking use me. I had another incident. This happened, you know, like a couple months ago, but it was on my mind. I was up all night last night with insomnia. And I shouldn't have went to see her when I went to see her. And you know, that was a mistake. I fucked up there. But yeah, so I had this other friend. We were partners in a sort of a business venture. Not going to go into details, but I invested a bit of money in this, and things didn't work out. It wound up being an issue with bylaws and stuff that we couldn't do what we were doing. And he had taken a course, and I thought he knew what he was doing, and I thought the course that was teaching him knew what they were doing as well too, and I didn't realize that they were advocating for him to do something that's basically illegal. It's illegal. It's like a misdemeanor. It's, you know, putting up signs. They're called bandit signs. Anyway, so things didn't work out, and he sort of just shrugged it off. Well, you know, that's the way it is, you know, risk, all that, way she goes. And I don't owe you anything. Shrugged his shoulders. Okay, goodbye. See you later. And I had done a lot of stuff for this guy. Like, I thought he was my friend. Like, I bought him coffee. I had a meetup.com group where I was trying to do this meetup, and, you know, typical these meetups, you know, you get 10 people say they're going to show up. Nobody shows up, that sort of thing. So it wasn't working out for me. I wasn't really into it anymore, so I gave it to him. And I later sent him an email listing like a whole paragraph of all the stuff that I had done for this guy. And yeah, he replied and sort of said, yeah, you're kind of right, and I didn't really reciprocate. And we haven't really talked now in months. But it's what I'm getting at here is it's part of an overall pattern. Like, I may be making friends. It's not like I've never had friends, but I make friends, and either it doesn't go anywhere, or it leads to some sort of an argument or a fight and a bad ending, or it sort of just putters out. It sort of just fades away, and like distance and stuff keep us apart. And you know, I maybe try for a while to keep in touch with them on Facebook, you know, and then gradually they start not responding, and like I said, just sort of just fades away. It doesn't necessarily end badly. It just sort of just fades away. And I go from job to job. I have an education, but I can't really seem to make anything of myself. I have money in the bank. I have enough money to make a down payment on a house. I've tried to get a house. I've tried to move out of my father's place a bunch of times, you know, since coming back from overseas where I was. And I can't seem to do it. I can't qualify for a mortgage because I'm working a stupid dead-end job that doesn't pay very well. I've applied for all kinds of jobs. I've been to all kinds of interviews. And it basically reminds me of this quote in Fight Club, that, you know, everyone will either reject you or die. And that's basically, that's all it is here, is, you know, constant disappointment, frustration, things not petering out, things not going anywhere, never feeling like I've arrived. Like I got my own needs, and yeah, I guess I'd admit maybe it's just, yeah, I'm horny. You know, I need to get laid. Maybe that's what it is. And I'm also reminded of a Emil Chiorin quote where he was like, talking about his early, you know, 18, you know, he's like in his early 20s, and he said, the only thing that interested me was the bordello and the library. Although he says it in French and it sounds a lot nicer. And he's sort of, you know, half joking. But yeah, I'm tired of playing the game. Like, this woman that I was interacting with, we went out a few times. Like I said, I was under the impression that we were dating. She just wanted to be just friends. And, you know, I paid for dinner a couple times. I felt sorry for her. Like, I give this woman a pass. I felt sorry for her. And she trusted me quite a bit and told me a lot of intimate details about her life. The fact that she was homeless and that her father had molested her. And then it brought back memories of, I've talked about, I think before in other videos, that my uncle is a pedophile. And I was protected and saved from having something like that happen to me, but it came very close. So like I said, I give her a pass, but like I said, just all the time feeling used, feeling like it's nothing I do is ever good enough. And nothing goes anywhere. It doesn't even get the chance to go anywhere. It's not like, you know, it's not like we had sex together and then, you know, maybe it developed and then we moved in together and then we realized, oh, wait, we're not compatible. And then it didn't go anywhere, you know, and then we had to break up and then it doesn't go anywhere. And I've had a few, you know, I've maybe had 6 relationships in my life and I can't seem to make anything last longer than a year. And like I said, I keep going back to it, but it's just the ultimate, the transient nature of life, of existence. It's not, we can't go to a place and stay there. You know, I'm sort of, I said this morning when I woke up to my dad, I'm like, you know, the argument that we just had yesterday and this thing that just happened with this woman and all this shit, I once again, I just feel like killing myself. Like I've been holding on, what I've been holding on to is the fact that at some level, yeah, I care about my dad as I cared about my mother. I love them, even though, again, I'm an anti-natalist. They did love me. They did take care of me. They did their best, you know. And so I would feel guilt. Like my dad maybe deserves a punch to the face. He doesn't deserve to be tortured. Like if I killed myself, he would be fucked up. Like he don't deserve that. And my mother didn't deserve it either. But based on these arguments and this constant abuse, and like I said, he's attacked me before and stuff, I just said to him, you know, I feel like killing myself, you know. Like I feel like, you know, nothing's going anywhere and, you know, what's the point? And I've said before, you know, I've argued, and I'm not going to repeat it, but in other videos that, you know, life is maybe pointless and futile, but it's not meaningless. There is this value equation. So like I said, I'm sort of waiting for my father to die before I bite the bullet and just fucking do it. But I have the means to do it. I acquired a couple of years ago the means to a peaceful death. I acquired some Nebutol, and I've kept it in the freezer, and so it's still good. And I just sort of feel like taking it. You know, like I'm up to my eyeballs. I'm so fed up. Like just things, just like I said, they just don't go anywhere. And like I said, it's not these instances, any particular instance. They're not the, like beyond devastating, any of them. They're just the you know, it's just life. But it's just, again, I can go through, and I don't have the time for that in this video, but my entire life. And I just remember moving around a lot as a kid. My parents were always fighting. I remember we lived with my dad for a bit, and my mother was a fucking hothead. You know, like once when she came to visit me when I was overseas, she's like, if you touch my phone again, I'm going to cut your fingers off. And then we had a really bad argument. And, my mother was a hothead. And anyway, so I remember we were living at my father's place and they had a really bad argument. And my dad ran upstairs and locked himself in this room. And my mother, knocked on the door, really pounded on it, and she basically she practically ripped the lock out of the door and barged her way in. And then my dad had enough, and he basically attacked her and tried to choke her. And then I remember being, the police called and all that. My dad was never charged because, like I said, my mother, he had told her several times to leave her alone and she just wasn't getting the message. But it had been for months a really toxic living situation where they were, my mom went and bought a new refrigerator and they argued about money all the time and this and that, and they're always arguing. So I remember being escorted out of there. My relatives, my aunts and uncles on my mother's side, we stayed at their place for a bit. And when my mother passed, I saw them again. We hadn't spoken in years. And now I don't see them anymore. I don't have any family. Like, all I got now is my dad. Like, he's it. I have no extended family or friends. No one that I'm really all that interested in. That no one that cares about me. And like I said, nothing's going anywhere with these other friends and acquaintances and all this stuff. What I worry about, what I'm strongly starting to feel is it always bothered, like way back 2012 when I had breakups with girlfriends and stuff. Yeah, it really bothered me. I remember the first time it happened, I was like practically beyond devastated and immature and didn't really understand what the game was about. But even back then, the transient nature of it all sort of bothered me. But now I'm seeing that, okay, this is like a real game here. Like the training wheels are coming off. I got fucking bills to pay. I got to take care of myself, look after myself, as does everybody else. But it's becoming more and more of a chore. Like, it ain't fun anymore. Like, I did a volunteer program. I did some summer exchange programs. I was traveling. I went and taught English overseas. I was living life. I was partying. I was, chasing women and all that kind of crap. And now that's all kind of over. My health is deteriorating. I have a sinus condition. I have a lung condition. I keep getting sick. And every time I get like a cold or a flu or whatever, if I don't go on antibiotics or take really, like, there's this medication that I take for my nose that's like a steroid. And so, like, I'm able to sometimes, I avoid antibiotics where I just sort of double or triple up on the steroid thing. But as my health is not good, my immune system is shit. I keep getting sick. I've gotten better. I was really bad overseas. I almost practically died. But, like I said, I get sick. I go to work. I work a stupid dead-end job. There's a benefits plan where I work, and they don't give me enough hours to actually go on the benefits plan, to pay for prescription drugs and out-of-pocket expenses and all that kind of crap. And I can't find a better job. I have a degree. I've applied to all kinds of jobs, been to all kinds of interviews. And like I said, I just keep getting rejection. I'm starting to just sort of see, what's the point here? Like, this shit ain't going anywhere for me. Like, there's no, I don't feel like it's going to end in some sort of, eureka moment, or that I'm going to be living happily ever after. I saw what happened to my mom, where she moved to get away from her shitty family and to get away from my father. She moved all the way out to New Brunswick. And then my mother was very volatile, had a temper, and she alienated a lot of people. And she basically wound up alone, although I was there with her when she died every step of the way. So I guess she didn't die alone, but in a way, we all sort of die alone. And, my mother basically wound up all alone. Nobody really cared about her. And my father is sort of the same. He's wound up all alone. He has like not no friends, but no really meaningful friends. Like, he had a friend come over earlier this week that was like a friend from a long time ago that had been going through some shit and went through a divorce. And I've, that's another thing that got me thinking of is I've just sort of seen, I've met all sorts of people and done all sorts of stuff that other people, that there's no happy endings here. Like you get old and yeah, you get divorced and you get a pustule on your butt, or you get cancer, or you're going to get coronavirus. That's something I'm going to get to in a couple minutes. But you just get something here, and yeah, you fucking die. And then, eventually you get forgotten. And forget forgotten, like even while you're alive, you don't know very many people necessarily. Maybe you have some friends, maybe you don't, whatever. Everybody's different. Maybe some people are celebrities, popular, but yeah, eventually you sort of get forgotten. Everybody you care about gets forgotten, and it doesn't end well. It doesn't end in happily ever after here. It doesn't, like I said, you don't arrive at some eureka moment. You're not, it's not going anywhere. And so, yeah, coronavirus. So we've been getting paranoid about that. Now, supposedly, there's 100,000 cases of this thing. And the news, the media is really all over the place. Like some of the stuff I've read is very doom and gloom. And other stuff I've read is like, it's just another flu. And then I've read some conspiracy theories that some people think it's a Chinese bioweapon because of this lab that there was in Wuhan. And I think it's a bit ridiculous. But some of the stuff I've read, supposedly by the end of April, early May, 500 million people are going to get this thing, supposedly. Or I've read other estimates, like 40 to 70% of the world population will eventually get it. And then, it's something like 2 to 3% of people that get it die. But either way, like a lot of people are going to die. Estimated, I've read different estimates, but like something like they figure like 15 million people are going to die from this. But either way, it's already starting to cause trouble with the markets, with the economy, and we're heading towards a global recession. If it continues, if the trend continues, it's only going to get worse. So the one estimate I read is a total global loss to GDP of 2.4 trillion. And humanity has endured a lot worse, right? There was the bubonic plague, and I was actually watching a movie. It's a classic movie. You should check it out if you can. Ingmar Bergman, The Seventh Seal. It's about a knight in Sweden that goes on the Crusades, and he returns from the Crusades, and the plague is starting to ravish in Europe. And he plays a chess match with death, with this character that represents death. Ultimately, he loses, and then the ending is the family goes off with the kid, leaving like a little thin shred of hope. But basically, all the characters just die. And then there's this one character in it that's a very, weird, pessimistic character where he's like, love is the blackest of all plagues, but something to that effect. And you get over it and all that. And he's very like grim and pessimistic. Anyways, it's a good movie. The director that made it said, yeah, he'd made it to get over his death anxiety. But yeah, we've had the bubonic plague that practically wiped out humanity, like almost did. And it's like everything, we're just repeating the same shit over and over and over again. And we think now, because we got these smartphones and we got all this technology and we got all this stuff, that we're immune from it. Really, what if this pandemic actually starts getting serious, where millions of people start dying, if 500 million people get it, all that kind of crap? Like our whole world, like really what the real problem is less the illness and more the economic problems it's going to cause. The supply chain disruptions and this whole globalism problem, which the right wing, the Donald Trump people, have embraced this rhetoric of anti-globalism. They're not necessarily doing anything about it, but rhetorically they're speaking up. And that's why I believe the right sort of won. They embraced things that the far left and the far right were talking about years ago. So yeah, we have this globalism thing, And so the supply chains will be interrupted. Supposedly like 80% of antibiotics are made in China, and China's shutting down basically. All sorts of stuff is made in China, made in India, made in Pakistan, and we're dependent on it. Like there's reports already on the West Coast of there being shortages. There's shortages of toilet paper in Australia. People are panic buying in Germany. There's lots of panic buying, empty shelves. Like if it continues, and especially if it continues in China, yeah, like these supply chains are going to be fucked, and there's going to be shortages of stuff, and you're going to see us slowly as kind of a little mini social breakdown. I do not think that this plague or this epidemic, pandemic, whatever you want to call it, is going to be the end of the world. But it's going to really, if all of these predictions are true, it's really going to change things. And I sort of feel like I want to cash in my chips and get out of here before it starts getting really bad. And especially like if I'm going to get, like, if I get this corona thing, I'm probably dead anyway. But my immune system can't handle it. My sinuses are fucked. My lungs are fucked. Yeah, I don't know. So yeah, like I said, I woke up this morning, got ready to go to work, and I said to my dad, yeah, I feel like killing myself, and I don't know how this is going to play out. But yeah, I've tried repeatedly. I need to at least move out. But with the job that I got and the money that I'm making, I can't afford to live on my own. And, you know, this woman that I was interacting with, you know, proposed to me. She wanted me to be her roommate, but in a just friend sort of way. And because she's looking for a new roommate. And yeah, I can't really find anybody to be a roommate with. Like she would, like it would be a big mistake. Like I'm sort of glad, like, yeah, we're not going to talk anymore or whatever, it's over. But yeah, she would have been not fun to live with probably. So I dodged a bullet there. But yeah. I don't know if you're watching this, but there's another woman that I've talked to a lot online, and we got involved, and then we didn't speak for a year. Another drama incident happened with some antinatalists. I'm not going to reveal their names, but they're a couple. They do like gothic art stuff. Had a drama where this woman sent me, you know, scandalous pictures of herself and wanted to do a website. I remember sort of she wasn't in touch with me for a bit. And I was like, well, what's going on? What's the matter? Do you want me to just close this website down? And then she blocked me and she sort of told me to fuck off and said I was too needy. And then I flipped the fuck out and I went on Facebook and I said some stuff I shouldn't have said. I got me, like I said, I have a temper, I'm a hothead, potty mouth. So by consequence, like I said, there's two separate women here. All of these women stopped speaking to me. And now lately, the past 6 months or so, I've been talking to one of the women again that's friends with the other woman. And we've been talking, and we, like a few weeks ago, were talking to each other about maybe planning a trip. We would meet each other in Spain, go and, you know, at least be with each other for a little bit anyway. Like I don't, you know, I was told I was needy, and I thought about it a lot, and I think I'm really not that needy at all. Like maybe I am in certain ways, but it's not neediness, I guess. It's that none of my fucking needs are being met whatsoever. Like I may want to cuddle with a woman, and yeah, you know, fuck her, you have sex, you know, talk for a bit, and then I sort of want to towel off and go. You know, as I mentioned before, the bordello and the library, that's what interests me. And I'm willing to play the game if I fucking get something out of it. And I'm not getting anything out of it. So I talked to this woman online, right? And we've talked, and like I said, this trip. And now because of this coronavirus thing, yeah, we're not going on any trips. We're not going to see each other. We're not going to meet each other. And it's yet another instance, like I meet someone that I like. She likes me. We can't be together. Frustrated. Again, not going anywhere. And you know, it's the same thing over and over and over again for me. I've had before in the past online relationships with people and it didn't work out. And it's just nothing has worked out for me. Like I'm not a failure, but I'm not a success either. It's mediocrity. And in a lot of ways, like we've achieved some of the aims of socialism in the fact that survival is easy, but success is impossible. Really it is. Like not all of us can be rich, famous. There's a limit. Not all of us can be owners. Some of us, you know, there needs to be a certain amount of poor people to, you know, do the shitty sort of dead end jobs. And, you know, you work and you pay the bills and all this life crap. Like I said, the training wheels have come off and bills to pay, taxes to pay, work to do, work every day. The only thing I find engaging anymore is just going to bed, sleeping as long as possible, and jerking off a little bit. And I had my mother's death, and I had all this shit happen that I went through various waves of depression, all kinds of shit, and yet, you know, it's just everybody's glib, smug attitude. Oh, well, your mother died. Oh, well, you know, gee, that's too bad. That's life, circle of life. And everybody moved on, and there isn't, you know, there isn't a plaque or a monument. None of her family, extended family cared. I'm all over the place now, but it's again, I keep going back to it, the transient nature of life. Like it's just all like, yeah, where is this going? What are we doing here? And I think what's always sort of saved humanity in the past is that really life is short. The saying Thomas Hobbes said is, life is brutal, nasty, and short. But I think the problem for us now is that life is still brutal and it's still nasty and there's still a lot of shit in the world and there's no guarantee and oftentimes deserve has little to do with it, little to nothing to do with it. You know, good people have bad things happen to them, good things happen to bad people. Ultimately, though, everybody goes through some bad shit, right? I'm not making sense anymore. So, I don't know. There was a bunch of stuff I wanted to talk about. Oh, yeah. I've been, my name of my channel is Philosopher Stoner 666, right? I'm sort of anti the stoner part now. I've used marijuana in the past couple of months. I find that it's made me paranoid and almost a couple of times like almost close to panic. And I still use, but a very light dose, and I only use it before going to bed because it helps me sleep a little bit better. And I have it for medical, like it helped with my pain with my dick and like I said, my lung and my sinus problem and stuff. But yeah, I've sort of stopped